I'm just gonna pull on it, all right?
She stuffed a towel into her daughter's mouth, preventing her from making any noise. Her actions nearly cost her daughter's life. Since her daughter was pregnant out of wedlock and her boyfriend had disappeared, the mother had to protect her daughter's reputation. She stuffed a pillow into her own stomach to pretend she was the one who was pregnant. When others saw the heavily pregnant mother still doing physical labor, they quickly blamed the daughter. Early one morning, the daughter felt the onset of labor. She endured the pain all day until she finally returned home in the evening. Her mother immersed her in hot water, but by then, the daughter could barely bear the pain. To avoid being discovered, the mother handed her a towel to bite down on. She had her daughter lean over the sink and told her to push with all her strength when the pain was at its worst. Finally, the sound of a baby's cry filled the room, and a boy was born. The mother, imitating the nurse, cut the umbilical cord. But the placenta from her daughter's abdomen still hadn't come out. The mother had no choice but to leave her daughter at home and call the obstetrics hospital for advice. But this was a procedure only a professional midwife could handle. She thought all she had to do was pull on the umbilical cord. She had her daughter lie on the ground while she tried to pull it. When the nurse heard the phone ring, she quickly asked the doctor for the details. It was then that she realized something was wrong. Fortunately, they arrived in time. The daughter was lying on the floor in agony. It turned out that while the mother had been pulling on the placenta, she had exerted so much force that she nearly pulled the daughter's uterus out as well. The midwife knelt on the ground, reached into the birth canal, and carefully repositioned the girl's uterus. The woman was 8 months pregnant, and yet her husband burned her with a lit cigarette. Ellen screamed in pain, but her husband pushed her to the ground and locked the door, trapping her inside. Their son sat on the stairs, seemingly used to all of this. Through the door, Lenu gently comforted their son. Meanwhile, Ellen felt a dull ache in her lower abdomen as the sky darkened. The pain intensified, and she realized she had to leave the bedroom as soon as possible. Her obedient son stayed by the door, and Ellen asked him to fetch a fruit knife and pass it through the gap in the door. She gritted her teeth, enduring the abdominal pain as she chipped away at the door with the knife. Ellen felt herself losing strength and nearly fainting, but as a mother, she couldn't stop. The baby inside her wouldn't wait. She kept chiseling at the door. After what felt like an eternity, the door finally gave way. She hurriedly took her son and rushed to the midwifery clinic. Her son pounded on the clinic's door, and the nurse quickly came out. Ellen could no longer hold back her tears. The nurses helped her inside, and just moments after entering, her water broke. The nurses quickly prepared to deliver the baby. Ellen gave birth to a healthy baby girl, but she was still fearful of what her husband might do to her and the child. The next day, a large hand reached for the newborn. Ellen told him to stay away from the child. Her husband insisted that, as the father, he had the right to see the baby. Ellen, both angry and scared, feared he would harm the child. She made the decision to divorce him, determined to break free from this man once and for all.
There's no baby.
What?
Cervix is hard. She isn't even contracting.
The woman was married at the age of 15. Originally, she had a job in the city, but in order to fulfill the responsibility of having children, she resigned and returned to her hometown. She caresses her belly every day and always has a happy smile on her face. A few days later, she suddenly had unbearable abdominal pain. The mother quickly called the midwife. When the midwife arrived, she was in so much pain that she couldn't stand. Everyone hurriedly helped her to the bed, ready to deliver the baby. From the outside, her reaction did look like she was about to give birth. The fetal heartbeat cannot be heard. The midwife immediately put on gloves and prepared for the examination. It turned out that she showed no signs of pregnancy at all. The midwife realizes that the situation is very serious. She walked out of the room,
I'm just popping outside for a moment.
consulted with another midwife, and concluded this woman is too eager to have children. In such a hard life, she began to deceive herself. Even the body was deceived, and eventually the phenomenon of false pregnancy appeared. When she learned that she was not pregnant at all, the whole person was completely devastated. Keep blaming yourself.
I am nothing. I am hollow because I am empty.
For them, having a baby is almost the most important thing in life. In Africa, if a woman has no children, she didn't even get even the most basic respect. Because of this, many women disregard their physical conditions, born one after another, just to be recognized by society.
You can ignore the hula hoop for now.
Jeannie's softly flexed knees and relaxed neck and shoulders means that she can concentrate all of her energy into the lower abdomen. This exercise is particularly good for trimming the tummy and slimming the flanks, which may well be why Jeannie has regained her figure just a few months after having her second child.
Jenny had just given birth a few days ago when she decided to join a weight loss boot camp. She lost 20 pounds by using a hula hoop, but one day she suddenly couldn't straighten her back because of intense pain. After a checkup by the nurse, it was discovered that Jenny hadn't eaten anything. While taking care of 2 kids, she was also juggling 2 part-time jobs, leaving her no time to eat. Her husband was constantly working as well. They were planning to buy a bigger house, but fate had other plans. Jenny suddenly felt nauseous, and the nurse advised her to go to the hospital. After the examination, Jenny was shocked to learn she was pregnant again. She hadn't noticed any signs, and she had even been attending the fitness camp. Jenny told the doctor that she didn't want the baby. Raising 2 boys was already a huge burden on them. The doctor suggested she talk to her husband before making any decisions. Her husband encouraged her to keep the child, but Jenny was still very opposed. It was later revealed that Jenny's mother had given birth to 8 children over 11 years before ending up in a mental hospital. Jenny didn't want that kind of fate. The next morning, she took some money from her savings jar and went to a private clinic. 3 hours later, she returned home, leaning on the wall for support. She told her husband it was just a difficult workout. The next day, she forced herself to go back to work.
And a little push. That's the worst over, Latifa. And another push. Head spot. Nearly there.
The woman collapsed in pain, sitting on the ground. She wanted to give birth to her child at home. She didn't want to break tradition by having the baby elsewhere. However, a woman who has undergone female circumcision cannot give birth naturally. The nurse had no choice but to call an ambulance and have the woman lie down in the vehicle, trying to teach her to breathe through contractions. But soon, she noticed something was wrong. The nurse immediately ordered the ambulance to stop because the baby's head was about to come out, but the stitched-up lower body was tightly blocking the baby's head. Every contraction brought intense pain to the woman. The nurse quickly prepared the scissors and urged the woman to slow her breathing and not push yet. Amid the immense pain, the woman finally managed to give birth to a baby girl. However, the very next day after giving birth, the woman insisted that the nurse stitch her up again. Having undergone female circumcision as a child, she believed it was a symbol of purity. Despite the nurse's repeated explanations that nothing had been cut, only a tear from childbirth, the woman insisted on her belief. This request left the nurse speechless. The following day, the nurse sent her own sister back to Somalia for circumcision. The nurse, filled with anger, questioned why her sister had to undergo this when she herself had been harmed. The woman explained that in Somalia, only women who had undergone circumcision were respected, were considered pure in body and mind, and were able to find husbands. Eventually, after repeated pleas from the nuns, she agreed not to send her daughter to Somalia for circumcision. A woman came to the hospital for a prenatal checkup, but she secretly hid and took a handkerchief out of her bag. Inside was a lump of something black and mushy. With no one around, she quickly ate it as if it were some kind of delicacy. Just then, the nurse came in to help with her checkup, and the woman hurriedly stuffed the handkerchief back into her bag.
What you have in there? A sneaky piece of cake?
Something like that. I get peckish.
She confessed that she couldn't control herself. The nurse comforted her, saying it was just the pregnancy hormones. But the woman still felt a bit ashamed and worried that it might harm the baby. She reassured